Clothes are one of the needs that make humans survive. It gives us warmth, protection, identity, and even confidence. However, with issues of global warming, pollution, and even exploitation, our need for clothing becomes a big problem. But there is one industry that is responsible for all of these events. Before 1800, clothing was considered a necessity rather than a fashion piece. The majority of the materials are created from wool that is woven and sewed in houses and designed that can last for a lifetime. Fashion is moving slowly at this time. When the Industrial Revolution began, textile industries developed, new machinery was introduced, and then there was the invention of sewing machine. Clothes production became simpler, quicker, and less expensive. Dressmaking businesses expanded quickly, employing clothes workers and domestic laborers to serve the middle class. However, despite the increased production, fashion was still unrecognizable at this time due to the fact that manufacturing garments still required a lot of effort and dedication. Until the 1960s, when teenagers began to add new patterns, designs, and clothing styles, fashion was presented as an expression of personality. But when many people started to have access to fashion and many businesses sold better quality clothes, it developed into a work of art. However, as the demand for inexpensive clothes increases, retailers are finding new methods to keep up and remain relevant. To meet the current demand, US and European apparel companies outsource their labor outside of the country, which we will discuss later. When H&M, Topshop, Primark, and Zara arrived in the United States in 1990, fashion became a lifestyle as clothing from these companies are cheap and trendy. The New York Times called this fast fashion because of the quickness to produce clothing from the designer's mind to the customer's hands, which can only take 15 days to make. Although fast fashion is a convenient way to express oneself, it is also a fast way to kill the entire planet. Polyester is a plastic-based fiber that makes your clothes durable, grease-resistant, and quick drying. Polyester is very cheap to produce, making it the darling of fast fashion, with many high street retailers and increasingly luxury brands turning to it. The fabric can be used in its pure form as well as in blends with other fibers, particularly cotton, wool, and viscose. However, this darling of fast fashion is a culprit in massive pollution. To make polyester, fossil fuels such as crude oil, gas, and coal must be burned, resulting in the mass production of CO2 emissions. This fabric consumes around 350 million barrels of oil every year and is also energy intensive to create, requiring the extraction and combustion of additional fuel to power its manufacturing facilities. When washing garments made of polyester, tiny plastic particles known as microfibers are being shed, resulting in polluting soils and rivers, poisoning wildlife across the food chain, and endangering human health. While this process is hazardous to the environment, there is a much bigger problem than polyester. Chile is a friendly nation with a spectacular array of natural treasures, from the towering Andes Mountains to the penguin colonies of Patagonia to the ancient city of Santiago. However, Chile is also home to a mountainous pile of unsold clothing. This is Atacama Desert, one of the driest regions in the world. In 2021, a series of photos started circulating the internet showing piles of discarded clothing. In an article published by Al Jazeera, Chile has been a long hub of second-hand and unsold clothing. These garments are made in China and Bangladesh that pass through the markets of Asia, Europe, and the US. 59 tons of clothing are coming to Chile every year. Some clothes are sold to traders in the capital city, and others are smuggled to Latin American countries. While this event reduces the amount of discarded clothing, an estimated 39,000 tons end up in a rubbish dump in the desert. Because polyester is the primary material in the majority of this clothing, it is non-biodegradable, which means it will take hundreds of years to degrade. Worse, as they decompose, they drain toxic chemicals into the soil and groundwater and produce methane, which may severely deplete the atmosphere. While overproduction is a norm in fast fashion, who do you think suffers the most from this type of business model? Aside from the environment that has been greatly affected by fast fashion, the labor force behind closed doors are working excessively and being treated inhumanly to produce clothing that can only be purchased with cheap money. Fast fashion became an umbrella term for contemporary slavery. In 2013, the world witnessed the dark side of the fast fashion industry when the Rana Plaza building in Bangladesh collapsed, killing 1,132 and injuring over 2,500 garment workers who work for prominent brands in Europe and the United States. It reveals the cruelty of fashion brands to Asian developing countries, including the unlivable wage for hardworking laborers who got paid an average of $50 per month, exploitation and forced to work over 100 hours every week, child labor, physical and sexual abuse, and health and safety issues. These people have no power to complain or quit since they rely solely on these jobs to support their families. Despite these issues about fast fashion, some brands are still booming and more profitable than ever. Most people are becoming more conscious of what businesses can do to the environment. As a result, they are trying to avoid buying environmentally hazardous products and replacing them with more eco-friendly and sustainable ones. Thus, businesses, particularly those in the fast fashion industry, are changing their products to look green and ethical to produce. Companies such as H&M, ASOS, and Boohoo have made commitments to make their products more sustainable by recycling unsold clothing. Many consumers were drawn to this marketing, believing these brands were helping the environment. But in an article published by The Green Queen, 59% of all green claims by European and UK fashion brands are misleading, with no indication of recycled materials but containing hard-to-recycle components that might adversely affect the environment.